I've been staying up all night, staying up all night, staying up all night.
Did we play a show here?
We did. Do you not remember that?
I don't think I remember the gig. I think I remember.
I don't really remember it either. But
I remember
it was
being in
like
the room.
A random day. It was like a last minute gig. It might have been on a Sunday. And I want to say like the Avocados or some band like helped book us this show. And
I'll buy that. I don't remember
the
any of
Avocados,
that.
you ever heard of the Avocados? We played a couple shows with them.
Dude, I think I did because
I used to work with one of the guys. That was like how I.
I think it's funny you say that because I was about to say I think I worked with one of the guy's sisters
Oh no way.
at like some restaurant. Like she was a waitress, and I think she was friends with the avocado. Was it the Avocados or something like that?
Yeah, that was the band name. Yeah, the Avocados.
I believe
The
that was.
Avocados?
I think
Is it Ava or Avocado?
I say avocado because I took Spanish.
Well, brother, welcome, man. Everybody, Sam Harrell in the building. Daddy Nap
Cheers.
Podcast episode 5. It's good to have you on here, bro.
Good to be on. Thank you. do the lean into the microphone move.
Yeah, you please do. And also a lot of these like little, I like to twist these little knobbies.
Oh, I love twisting
them.
them.
A little twisting. Maybe a little looking off to the side.
Off to the side.
You actually have your boom is. I mean, you got a lot of. You can do a lot with this.
It's okay. I brought this from home. It's a little busted, but
Did you ever notice where
It
I
does
got
the
this bad
job.
boy from?
I happen to notice.
I mean, low key, a lot of people don't know about it. It's super underground.
It's a pretty underground move.
Pretty underground
pulling over here.
scene called the Lakeview Lodge. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Lakeview Lodge,
This is early 2000s.
early 2000s, super
mid-
psychedelic venue in Austin. In Athens, Texas.
Super psychedelic.
Super psychedelic venue. They serve drinks sometimes, and not to minors, but
Like Sprite.
maybe to mine. I mean, no, never mind. Well, it's gone. They don't have any liability there after the fact.
Yeah, this is out of business. There's like a period of where they can't charge, right?
Well, shout out to Will Ogden. That was his folks' place. One of the first venues we actually ever played at our entire lives back in the day.
The first. Maybe
not the first. Was it the
first? As a proper band, probably the first. Because we fucked around a little bit with other musical things.
Sure.
But I think
we all kind of like play. There would be like things where it'd be like, hey, let's do a like guitar recital, or let's do like
Exactly.
Sam's gonna play like a couple Coldplay songs.
gather round. But I think I think I consider the Lakeview Lodge definitely like as my formally like the first venue that ever performed at.
Yeah, dude.
And like definitely sang out loud like in front of an audience.
Yeah. Maria helped us.
We
with
were
that.
11.
Maria Ogburn. Shout out Maria Ogburn. Second podcast to be shouted out.
I was thinking, all right, yeah, hell yeah. I was thinking about that earlier because I knew I was going to be on, and I was like, what? Well, we were in this band back in the day. I was like, well, Maria really threw that together.
She really did.
Like, I couldn't even remember why I got into that band, except for I think she kind of twisted my arm. I was like, come join the band.
Like, we weren't willing to convince you. We were just like, we don't fucking want him in the band.
Exactly. I was like, dude, you're not wrong. I was like,
it wasn't like that, but it was like.
Probably.
Every kid is like that at 13. It's just like, well, I don't know. Sam wants to be in the band. Yeah, get Sam in the band. But there wasn't like that bond formed yet at all. That was one thing.
Not at all.
Yeah,
it was like the mom bringing the kids together.
We gotta talk about the first story of us meeting in a while. Because I don't really remember it at all.
I don't think I remember that either.
Okay, well, great. So, because I remember you telling a very unflattering story at one point about
of us meeting.
I think so. Like,
shoot, okay.
I honestly can't. I can't regurgitate what you said, but I do recall something
That it wasn't flattering.
I mean, yeah.
I'm sure it was horribly unflattering.
I think
but
I was like 8th grade
remember.
and you were 6th grade or something like that.
I don't really remember. I remember being at the Ogburn's house. So we have mutual friends. For those, okay.
Yeah.
For your thousands.
Ogburn's, the musical creation station that we used, the powerhouse of rock when we were kids.
Correct.
Was the Ogburn's place.
That's putting it humbly.
Bro, that place was
But-
amazing. Honestly, for like creative freedoms and liberties as children.
Oh my God, it was criminal. Like we should have been in jail. there were crimes committed.
We served our time, bro.
We
we
served
served our time, bro.
So I remember. So we we did no good stuff at this house, and we were
When we say no good stuff, we're talking like everything from
toilet papering.
Yeah, like we go like wrap people's houses. We'd throw knives at
Just ridiculous.
like a really nice kitchen door that just eventually, one of the brothers, Zach, and yes, Zach, you did start this trend. It's on paper now, and therefore you remember that, right? Zach was just in the kitchen, just fucking.
Dude, what you up to, man? Dude, what are you doing? That looks fun. Can I try?
And Sam and I went ham.
And it became like a competitive thing. Like, ooh, let's see how many.
There's a couple weekends in a row where we just went ballistic.
Yeah, ballistic. We just free reign. Okay, so origin stories here. So we meet somehow Ross. I encountered Ross through mutual brothers of friends. We were, I think, in middle school. And I don't really remember, man. I don't remember the unflattering story that you're talking about.
Me neither. Yeah, I don't remember the exact thing.
I remember you were older and you were a little bit like
we
kind
were
of
standoffish a little bit.
You were standoffish
yeah.
probably because we were like 2 years younger, and
Right.
and when you're 15, that's like an eternity.
Sure.
And so it's
we
like
were what? Like we were literally like 8th grade or 9th grade.
I think we were like 12 and y'all were like 14 or
yeah,
15.
So we were like 8th grade, I think.
A couple years older than us.
Yeah.
So or Zach and
That's
I.
when the band first started. Was 8th.
That's when it first started, and I looking back on it, that's what I was getting to. I was like,
Isn't that wild?
I don't have any idea why y'all included me in that group because y'all, I think to my memory, y'all
because the music you played fucked, bro. That's what I mean. Like literally since day one, it was like, how do we like make people, dude? That's why
I thought
you were a big reason why people liked our music back in the day.
Well, that's obvious. But.
Okay, by the way, guys, welcome to Daddy NAT Podcast, episode 5. This is, of course, Sam Harrowes. You guys might have gathered this already, but Sam and I go way, way back to, about 12 when we first. He was 12, I was 14.
Yeah, something like that.
We were in the band The Suffocating Vegetables, which we've mentioned on several episodes. Max is on here. Will has been on here. So you guys have met most of the founding members, at least the ones that are still making music for the most part, I guess, right? But
yeah,
but yeah, right. That's funny because Austin and Zach definitely are not making music anymore.
That's true. They
Austin might.
they chose more mature paths, I think.
They really did.
More responsible.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable, but anyway.
I'm not gonna go there.
Cheers, all the best.
Love you guys. Pour one out for the boys, though.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, Sam and I go way back. Literally, the thing was, we started just like a little context. Sam and I were both in this band, and kind of, it was hodgepodge together at first for, ages. Like literally for the first probably 10 shows we played, we were kind of just like, everybody brought a song to the table, and we just learned it for a cover. But over time, we actually got tighter. We got better. Again, it's nothing compared to I think looking back on it, if we listen to it today, we would cringe. That's just the reality.
But see, so the whole thing is there's this beautiful window of time when you're young.
Yeah.
That when you do something like play an instrument, you are a god.
Right.
Like when you're 12 or 13.
It was amazing.
When you're 19 or 20 and you play an instrument, everyone's like, okay, but did you go to? Are you in college? Like, what are you doing with your life?
When you're 30, they look at you like you're fucking dumb.
They watch all your Instagram stories, but they never like any of your posts. No, so we were in this charmed period where we could do no wrong, and all the yeah. Anyway, it was great. Small town,
exactly. Yeah,
small town. So we were.
Exactly.
It was a lot of fun.
Experimenting. And again, this is like a country ass town that we grew up in, where the average person would definitely not be into doing this. It was funny because
That's true.
We had a couple venues, including the Lakeview Lodge. Shout out, the Ogburns again. But literally, we would
out of
go
business.
and play this place. It's out of business today. They sold it though.
They
I'm
sold.
pretty sure.
I
They
mean,
got out of there unscathed.
they made a profit.
Look, if you're not going to go in there and hustle it, all right, get the pool tables right, get the smoking cigarettes down.
Get the arcade games.
If you're not going to get the arcade games, if you're not going to take this seriously, bro,
Get out of the way.
Get out of Dodge, okay? Because COVID's coming. Anyway, I don't know. Did it close down after COVID? I made that up, but
If it didn't, then that is a testament to the Lakeview Lodge. I think they just honestly sold the property. And I think they did it right.
Turned
They
it
did it
into
right.
like a meth lab or something, or Red Dot 2.0.
Is this going out to a lot of people, or can we talk about that? Or I'm kidding.
It's doing really well. It's doing super well. It's like the stocks are rising, bro. But yeah, man, it's actually really cool to have you on because Sam and I from that band went on to actually kind of start doing our own thing. Like probably around, I was like 16 or 17 and you were probably like 14 or 15. And we both, one summer that we basically like took it very seriously. We were going to write a lot of songs together, which I think was probably uncomfortable for both of us in a lot of ways because we, you know, especially for you. I know, like, music's very intimate for you, and it's very important for you to produce things. I just mean, like, I don't even mean that. I just mean, like, I think you have a vision for something, and it's sometimes difficult for other people to add value to that vision that you have in your head. I relate to this a lot now as a musician because there's so many times, maybe you disagree with me, but I'm just saying.
I agree with you. I mean, that sounds a little hard. I mean, we were so young, but I know what you mean.
I think we were both open to collaboration, the idea, but we were both like,
I didn't know how to like say like, oh, I think like I
just what I meant by that is I think you've always been like
I'm very independent. I'm very independent, and I think it's taken me a while to realize that. Sure. I think it's taken me a while to realize that because you always feel so much pressure to collaborate and be like a good playmate and collaborate.
And also enhance what you have there. That's the hardest part.
And that's the beauty of that's the beauty of collaboration. And so I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, but you know, starting off, I am very independent. That's kind of my starting point. And so when we were young like that. Yeah, I remember those sessions. We went to that recording studio. We went to like some recording. His dad like it was so encouraging.
To, like, orchestrate this like
your dad. You know, your dad is the best. Just shout out to your dad because he was so encouraging of like this young talent. You know, whatever.
Right.
Even if we were good or not, he was like, you know, he believed in like his son. He believed in me, and he was like, hey, let's go to a studio and record you guys. And he was like, you know, always a big cheerleader for what we were doing at that age. Warranted or not, which I think it was warranted. We were all right.
No, he's always been very encouraging. I think he's also realized, like, you know, dude, and this is one thing that I continue to recognize. There's no formula to make it in music. You know what I mean? There is no like path. You know what I mean? Like you could literally make a Old Town Road hit on your laptop.
Exactly.
Or you could, you know, be you know, Beck. Or be somebody like
Phoebe Bridges or Bridgers or whatever.
Or even like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or like, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's just like created a sound and created a wave and
true.
That. Or
it's true. It takes all kinds.
Afro Man.
It takes all kinds.
Like, bro, like, and like Afro Man's the shit. Like I love that mother. Like literally, like respect. But I'm just saying, like.
There's no formula. You never know. Like I think if anything though, it does.
So I think he appreciated that. I think he loved that it's like, yo, like there's no rules, and also like a song can be forever. Like a song can change one song can change your life. I think that's what he always really liked.
Okay. Well, I just remember him being always so encouraging and willing to invest in the time and getting us like, you know, to grow and to collaborate and go into the studio that one time. That, you know, that always.
And we wrote all these songs. Yeah, he kind of like
that made an impression on me.
Yeah,
that was always cool that somebody would do that and go out of their way to make that happen. And so yeah, kudos to your dad. I think that's great. Straight up. Fathering.
I appreciate you, dude. No, I mean, like, and he'll appreciate that too. But like, I think I don't think he'll be watching this because I don't know if he knows how to find this on YouTube.
Okay.
But, you know. But if you do, Dad.
But he's got good taste in music. He's got great taste in music.
Dude, he would like always make us listen to those tapes about like how the song was made. Do you remember those?
Oh.
Bro? Do you remember that? Like all these like different dudes like. He had like
maybe
this cassette, and they would like be all these different people, like old school songs.
I remember him listening to like
60s and 70s hits.
He listened to like the Tower of Power, like horn section, right?
That's the power of love.
Huey Lewis in the News. He was all, dude.
Bro.
I loved that so much. That your dad had like this little swag that he would.
He did.
He would try to rock with this music taste. He was like a hardcore businessman, and then he had this like flair for like.
He did
like funky music.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And he always like had a great like respect for the art. So anyway,
he really has. Yeah, I mean, so my dad was you know, at one point wanted to be an actor, and then, you know, decided otherwise. Decided it was, you know,
cool.
It was. I mean, it's a difficult path to, you know, succeed as an actor. So for various reasons, decided he didn't want to do that life, and I I think he's always admired the arts though, as a result.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
Well-
yeah, dude. So anyway, flash forward to years of us collaborating when we were younger. Sam and I went on to basically kind of do our own thing independently for music, and then when I moved back to Austin, we got back in a band together and played for a few years around here, and then also split off. I came off and did Brethren, which eventually became Daddy Nat, and did Brethren with Will, which is another one of our band members from Dirty Lens, and Sam went off and did Harrowes, which you continue to do today. So,
Correct.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I figured I'd give a little bit of a history about kind of how we met each other. But I mean, yeah, dude.
Yeah, for sure. We've always been like creative. I think this is a funny point. Like I was thinking about this recently. I was like, I have so many friends in music
Sure.
that I'm pretty sure I would definitely not be friends with
If it wasn't
for music. And I was like, is that like a disparaging thing to think, or is that like a cool like thing to think about music, like how it brings people together, and
Sure.
you would collaborate and work with people that you otherwise probably wouldn't.
Right.
And so, and I'm not. This was not you. This was somebody else.
Right,
I think
yeah.
we were definitely homies, music or not.
Well,
But
I mean, we were just like we were in a small town. So, but honestly, bro, like most of my friends that I meet today, like people who I become close with, 90% of them are due to music.
it's sick. Yeah, I think it's sick.
Yeah.
My point was, we've always been connected, or we've always had a good friendship. I think based around music
For sure.
throughout the years, as kind of he was
Like
alluding
we started
to.
with music, but we became friends sort of in the things that weren't music. You
Weren't
know what I mean?
music,
Like
and we
that were around
yeah.
that, you know what I
So
mean?
like
Yeah.
regardless of that craft or whatever this thing that we both do, it's like we're homies, and so that's awesome. But we definitely have a friendship, I think, based, and we always somehow find some way to bring a conversation back to like music or following your passion or following or
We're just honest, bro. That's one thing about our friend group. Like
yeah.
between me, you, Will, Max, Zach, like any of these, Steg, any of the cats who are like
Yeah.
around us, like there's an honesty. There's like I don't know, like a safety feeling. You know what I mean? It's like we don't really like. I don't know. Like you fall in place. Like I don't really feel like I've lost any time because I haven't chatted to them in ages. Whenever I see them, every time I see them, it's just like
for sure.
like picking it right back up. And to me, that's something that's been pretty difficult to find in other friends. You do find it, but I think
That's
we're very
true.
fortunate that all
That's
of
true.
us are still pretty much homies. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. I think, I'm grateful for that. I think a lot of people go through life. We were kind of talking about this earlier. Go through
Sure.
life, just kind of
alone, bro.
alone. For the most part. Maybe
Isolated.
you have friends like from work, or you have friends from whatever. But I'm super grateful that we have some kind of a network from a small town, whatever, small hometown. But yeah, it's a nice network of buddies that you couldn't like maybe 3 months go by and you never talk to each other.
But then you could go hang out.
You go hang out and skip a beat. It's
Exactly.
you're the best
It's
of friends.
actually really a beautiful thing, man. I think about that as well. It's funny because there have been people in my life who I think almost like resent I don't know, like feel like I have
Really?
too many friends that I can kind of lean on or whatever. That I just have I have a very strong network,
Interesting.
particularly in Austin. But the thing is, dude, when I was in New Zealand, I did the same thing. I had a very strong network of people that I could depend on, and they could depend on me, and
Yeah.
we would be willing to do things for each other that we probably wouldn't normally do for the average dude. So
It's awesome.
it's just interesting. I think that becomes a little bit natural to me, and I think
I was about to say
take
that.
it
I
for
think.
granted. I take it for granted.
Well, no, I was about to say that. I think that's definitely a skill and a sort of like an early learned thing in human psychology is the ability to make friends.
It
and
is a very created thing, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
the ability to connect with people and be social and to form bonds and to form bonds of loyalty with friends. I think that's something that's learned early in life, and so clearly you're good at making friends.
Yeah, dude. I always
And
it's
enemies.
interesting to, how you have.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. No, it's just interesting how you have I don't know, things you're just naturally better at than other things.
Yeah,
It's
man.
interesting how that happens.
Well, sick.
But dude, we've gone on a crazy tangent. Usually how I like to start these off is just kind of get a little bit of a background on maybe
How do you like to normally
you
start
fell
this
in love
off?
with music. So I like to start about, like I talked to Surreal about this, in terms of photography.
Okay.
Talked to the other guys about this, but it's just when I think about the earliest memories of me, I can honestly have memories of me like sitting next to a record player when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and just like putting my head as close as I could to it, and just like kind of just dancing, or like just jumping up and down or whatever next to it. I just remember always being so enamored with music. So from that perspective, I always want to know, like, how did you discover music? What are maybe some of your earliest memories? How did you decide that it was going to
Jeez, yeah.
fill up this void in your life, bro? Because
I
you've
don't
been
know.
doing it for as long as I have, and taking it as seriously, if not more, than me. So yeah.
Well,
Let's go
wow,
back, baby.
Yeah. So it's a big question, music. It's a weird like label, music. It's like, could it? I wonder, like, could I just quit music? It's like, well,
For sure.
I don't know if I ever like. I will always have the compulsion to like pick up the guitar or go to the piano and like write a song.
Right.
I'll always have that compulsion, like no matter what. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it feels like an obligation more than it feels like.
Yeah, I'm like an obligation to the muse, if you
then
will.
It feels like something that I don't even know how to say it. Yeah, it's just like
Like when it comes,
obligation isn't the right word for it, but it's like
it's a compulsion. It's kind
I
of
would do it either way. So
It's like
I might as well lean into it.
obligation may not be the best word, but you do kind of feel like, oh, I'm in that mode. I need to go like honor this mode
If you love something that much, bro,
and write the song or
Yeah.
whatever that is inside of you. Anyway, sorry, to answer your question as best I can. I think music. Okay, so I grew up not obviously, but in a very musical family. My dad plays guitar. My mom is a big lover of music, and so they're both always playing music in the car. My older sister was in musical theater her whole life, and so from my earliest memories, I have pretty much been surrounded by music, and so there's that, and where I made a personal sort of association with that, and where I discovered that I like making music was when I was about 7 years old. I got a violin for Christmas because I told my mom that I wanted to play the violin, and I don't even
how old were you?
7.
Nice.
Yeah, real nice.
Did you get a piano before that?
Was
though?
going for it. No, this was we had the family piano.
Yeah. So you were around. I remember you were around a piano at a very young age.
I was around a piano, but it wasn't like.
You're also around musicians, so it's like that's the other thing.
I guess so. Yeah. Like seeing my dad play guitar and all that, and my sister was like always singing like musicals, like
Yeah.
in theater
She
and
took
all
it very
this.
seriously.
She's
Like,
she's got a brilliant
her whole
voice.
class, honestly, also took that so.
That's true.
seriously,
She and her peers. That's true.
Like,
That's a
in the
good point.
juniors of that, like the guys who were like 1 year younger than them, took it so seriously.
That's true.
The theater was so.
It was like this cool
Intense.
moment.
I guess
with,
it wasn't
with,
my grade
with
too.
her grade.
I wasn't there at that time.
Yeah,
but
she and her peers, they had this cool moment, like with Athens Little Theater and all that. Shout out. And so there
Dude,
was
our town was weird. Like our town did all the art stuff.
so weird,
bro.
yeah, weird little vibes going on.
Maybe all of them do, but ours did it big, bro. I'm just saying.
It was great. So there was this sort of there was that thing going on there. I picked up the violin and started taking lessons, and the whole story with that was that the guy that gave me lessons didn't normally take kids my age, but my mom badgered this guy and said he really wants to learn. Can you please look at this 7-year-old? And so good. Thank you, Mom. So we did that, and after maybe 3 or 4 practices with him, I began to pick it up and really have a knack for it. And he thought, okay, this kid's he really seems to be picking it up. I'll keep going with this. And so that was a lot of early confirmation. For me, I was like, yeah, I'm really into this. And so I really took it and ran with it. And the violin was such a unique instrument because it's such a it has the potential to be a really beautiful instrument.
Sure.
And so there was a lot of like a connection that I began to build with the sort of the power of like playing melody and playing music and feeling that connection with that and the sort of expression that could come out of that. As a young kid, I don't think I had the development to express certain things that I could in music.
Sure.
So, music was more of like a primitive way of expression.
Sure.
So I think I don't know. That's just kind of my personal interpretation of all
That's
this.
what you like leaned into because you couldn't really be like, you could be yourself when you were doing music, basically.
Yeah. And then as I got older, I learned the piano and I began to understand more about music theory.
Sure.
And this became a whole world for me that I could sort of control on my own. It was sort of my own world. And so that was really important to me. And yeah, man, and from there, then I got kind of sucked into like bands and proper music and guitar and all that. And I began producing. I got like a MacBook and started making beats on GarageBand.
Sure.
And like producing loops and making like songs and stuff. And that became a supreme obsession because I was like, I can bounce these songs down to my.
You were like making songs, recording songs before.
I think when I was like 12 years old,
before any of us were.
Probably so. I was like 12 or 13 when I got this laptop, and I remember for the first time pulling up a reverb plugin, which is like a special effect. And I remember like having my guitar going through reverb for the first time, and I was just like, my mind was so blown that I could make that happen. Anyway, that's super nerdy, but
no, I mean,
I was like,
that shit's dope.
Yeah, I was like, I was
so dope.
I was getting like reeled into this whole universe that I could, well, that's part of the beauty of like growing up at the time that we did is that we had access to all this great stuff on a computer.
Now starting to happen, yeah.
On a computer,
As
yeah.
long as you had a laptop, you could figure it out,
So you have GarageBand,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and anyway, so I was able to. Anyway, this was kind of like my world, the outside world couldn't really do much about that, but this I could create and I could say what I wanted to see, whatever that was.
Sure.
And so that was sort of the obsession, and I guess it's always kind of stuck with me in a way, and it's always been an outlet creatively and expressively.
I feel like there were times where you weren't like you were all you kind of agreed, and I feel the same way where it's like I'll always make music, and I will. I mean, I literally will always. There's a lot of other things I can do in life to make more money.
Tell me you're
that's
not
really what I worried about. Like
sure.
That's so. So I think about that. Like, and look, I'm not like if I have kids and stuff like that, and like music's not working, I'm gonna have to figure out something else. But at this stage in my life, like for the foreseeable future,
sure.
I'm gonna be taking it seriously for my career for a long time. But forever, I will make music, and. I remember there have been certain times in my life where it's like you were always going to make music, but there were certain times where I feel like, maybe both of us, there was a lot of music that we would make that we just didn't want to release. You know what I mean? And that was kind of always a constant struggle. Still is for me. There's so much stuff on my hard drive that will never see the light of day, which is unfortunate. Not to say that it's finished, but it's just, it's like
gigabytes
so much stuff like that. So talk to me a little bit about like the, I don't know, like, music's one part, right? Like, and we have all spent a lot of energy in learning how to write songs, probably above anything, and then following that production, all the other elements that come with it. But yeah, like, talk to me about your perspective on that. A lot of people who are great musicians that we've seen growing up, who have not.
I think
are not making music today.
I kind of stopped.
Yeah,
that's a good question, man. I don't get that either. I don't even really think about that much. It is something that I almost like intentionally take for granted because if I think too hard about it, then I might lose the superpower. That was very pretentious to say.
Yeah, but no, that's how it feels. Yeah,
I truly
music. I mean, to other people who don't make music, it definitely feels very like spiritual or mystical or something.
Well, that sounded so full of myself. But what I meant by that was I try not to think too hard about that because it's sort of I don't want to scare it away.
Sure.
Because I don't want to. But you're making a point just a minute ago though about how much creative output you have, but how little you release or how selective you are with your releases.
Sure.
And kind of like that whole train of thought. I was thinking about that, and it's like, that's sort of a different game though, if you think about it. Like being in the creative vein is sort of a timeless element. Like you will always be in that river. But whether or not you decide to step out of the river and share what you've done with the world is sort of that's a kind of a different angle of it. Right? Is that right? And so, that's a different mindset. And so I think it's fair to, to differentiate the two. And for some reason, I think I've always been like, I've always seen it as like a positive thing if you can put something out.
Right.
It's like a good sort of sign that you're a well-rounded creative.
Yeah,
because you're not just in your room, but you're actually
you can't really make any advancement if you don't put stuff out.
you can't.
I don't know if maybe you can, but like
By well-rounded, I mean it's well. But what you just said, like
you don't get feedback. You need feedback.
You need feedback. You need to challenge yourself, and you need to if you really care about that craft, wouldn't you also want to like grow it up with you and like take the world on and feel those challenges of the real world with your creativity and get that feedback and grow? Or do you want to like kind of hang out in your room the whole time and think that you're the shit?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're whatever. I'm not trying to talk shit.
Well, so it's interesting. I was getting a tattoo earlier this week, and when there was a guy who was like right next to us, sort of in like the room next door, and I don't know the guy, but both the tattoo artist and him make music. But he was getting a tattoo, and he was just like, I don't know if I want to release anything. Like, I don't know if I could ever release anything. He was like, I work on this stuff so much, and then like, I think it's finished, and then I just decide I'm never gonna. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Release it, and then it gets like, like 0 likes or 0 plays.
Yep, it will.
Things. And so it's just interesting to me because it was like so helpless, his perspective, and it really just has me like, again to this whole thing that it's like. Really nothing matters except for your mindset. I mean, it's fucked up to say this, but it's so true, bro, because if I can't, like today, I had to do my 3 hours of music. You know what I mean? I worked on music. I try to work on music, new stuff, and stuff that I'm working on at least 3 hours a day. You know what I mean? Sitting at the computer, like with the clock going, basically, and I time myself.
Sick.
And I try to do that every day. And when I do, I noticed that like today I really did not feel like fucking making music at all. Like just like my brain was just like not in it. I was not inspired.
For sure.
Maybe I was distracted. I don't even know what it was. It was just I was just not feeling it. And I think I made one of the dopest hip hop beats I've made in probably like
hell yeah
months. You know what I mean? Today,
dude. That if crazy. I haven't heard that story a million times,
but it's so that's
and experienced that myself.
Yeah, bro. It's just like. You gotta show up and like, man, like
right.
consistently kills everything. And if you can just figure out a way to make yourself stoked, like to go make music, just fucking figure it out, dude. I don't know why you have to be there. Maybe it is work, maybe it's not. Maybe you look at it as a chore, maybe you don't. Just show up and do it. And I promise you, like, good things are produced. So.
Yeah,
I guess one of the things I'm very focused on right now is making more songs like One Night, more pop, sort of contemporary, authentically Daddy Nat.
Awesome.
That can't sort of be replicated type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that I really just didn't force myself to do and haven't forced myself to do because when I go to write music, I don't try to force anything. I want it to be very like, what do I... do I find a sample that I like? Do I find an instrument that I like? Do I find something that I want to
totally
create right now? Yeah. Or, I just want it to be very fluid, very organic. And, but you got to, if you do that all the time, you're eventually going to come across,
Well, this is what you're saying. It's what you're saying. You understand the mechanics of like, not to overanalyze it, but you understand the mechanics of like what's going to launch you into a creative zone. Right. And so you book time every day to go into that, feeling it or not, doesn't even matter.
Right.
And you go fishing, and then it's like
exactly you go fishing,
and it's like and it's like, hey, this sample, this splice sample, this one weird effect plugin I just found from Ableton, and accidentally double clicked that, and that's what ended up on the track. Oh, that's dope.
And it inspires you to do more. Exactly.
And so I think what you said earlier is just showing up and being open-minded as fuck, and willing to go on any direction that inspiration thing takes with you. And that's a skill too. That takes practice too. I think that's dope that you do that every day or whatever. You said 3 hour timer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty sick. I haven't heard that, but
it's something I just started probably like this year, I guess. But
I just like that idea because it really forces you to.
Well, 3 hours is a lot. a lot of
It's
people
a long
don't realize
time,
it.
yeah.
A lot of people don't realize like
Imagine
when I go fucking grab a snack,
a 3-hour nap.
smoke a joint, or I go do something. It's like, dude, like I press pause. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not just like at a studio for 3 hours a day. Like I'm doing work, doing something with production or songwriting within those 3 hours. So yeah, man, it's been a good tool for me, and I think at this stage I just want to build up a catalog. Anytime that I have people
just dig
approach
in
me,
and create.
I've had like a couple labels reach out to me this year, and I feel like if I had more just bona fide hits in my catalog, it would be like and I have good songs, but I don't think they're.
I think you got a lot of great songs.
One night.
What do you?
No, I mean like the songs that I have.
How do you know?
No, my catalogs are great, but the songs that I have, I'm very happy with my catalog. But I'm just saying,
my catalogs are the fucking shit.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
I know.
The songs that I have, like, on the private playlist that haven't been released yet, that they can listen to as demos that they could take and release with their label or whatever. It's like, I would love to just have undeniable, like 6 to 10 undeniable records. So that's what I'm building up towards now, and I feel like I have a couple in there right now.
That's awesome. Okay, wow.
But I want more, and just being prepared for those events, because like I think I'm in a good trajectory right now for growing my own career, but I want to be able to take the leverage that I have and use it to the best of my ability.
That's awesome. It reminds me a lot of this kind of old school. So you know Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, right?
Sure.
There's that great documentary.
Oh, so good.
I think it's with Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Iovine. I can't remember the name of it, but
it is.
It's on HBO or something. But
it's gonna come
like Hustler. I don't know. Something like.
Not called Hustler. What is it called?
Winning.
Defiant.
Defiant. The Defiant ones.
Defiant
Winning. Tiger Blood.
Win.
It's called. So I think there's a snippet in there with Tom Petty talking about just what you just said. So Tom Petty's on the cusp of like stardom,
right?
And he's like got access to a label. He's got the producer. They've got the budget. But all the pressure's on. And I think if I recall, I could be totally, but if I recall the story, it was basically more or less like Tom Petty just committed himself to just writing song after song. Oh, I think Jimmy Iovine heard a bunch of demos that Tom brought him, and he said, "I don't hear a hit. Sorry, but I don't hear a hit. What you got?" And so I think Tom like locked himself in his fucking closet.
That's right.
And just wrote as many songs as he could. Statistically speaking, you're gonna get a hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, like
worked for him. So anyway, the principle that you're
if you have
it's not that simple,
talent,
but
if you have some talent,
it's not that simple, but
it is true.
So, but the principle that you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. You maybe you're at a point where you feel like you have an opportunity to really show up, but you're like, fuck, I don't know. So you're committing yourself to like, I want to get an arsenal of bullets that I can shoot in these motherfuckers' faces. And
it's about a part of it is that I think I need to have really hard goals in front of me.
Okay.
And so considering I haven't created 2 one nights yet, technically in terms of releases.
Dude, one night's a great song, but
I'm
just
talking about like performance isn't everything, but the numbers. If I'm going to continue to build the profile that, like the path of the internet that I can with my brand, which is what I want to do. I want these songs to be assets that have streams. You know what I mean? And so I'm not talking about like quality of a song necessarily. I'm talking about songs that have.
I know what you're talking about.
The same
the impact,
sort of impact that song has, but also like if someone else was to listen to that song, they're like, oh, like I understand this sort of unique indie pop world that he has created. That is Daddy Nat. You know what I mean? And it's not sort of so.
You want to build a world. And have multiple like points within that world where people can.
I want to double down on what I've done really well, and I want to
makes sense.
Triple down on it actually, and then I want to, eventually I'll be able to do whatever I want with my music. But I feel like that is a lane that's working for me, so I want to double down on it, triple down on it.
That makes total sense, man. That makes total sense. As long as you're still inspired by that and still feeling heat from it.
The whole reason is like I'm finally now inspired by it. I've like waited like 2.5 years or how long it's been to like get really inspired by
full circle
songs like that, right? Yeah.
That makes sense. I can feel that vibe. Like you do something and at the time you're like, all right, that's cool, and then you move on.
Yeah.
But then you kind of look and you're like, wait, that was a good lane. I should really go back to that garden and like, or I don't know if that's the same for you, but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's like the bane of like being able to do different things. You know what I mean? Well, like it's like if you know, a lot of the different music that I think that I put out, I do believe in. I do. Some of these songs are like some of my favorite, songs, but some of them are very different than one
Right.
night. And that was part of just being kind of like, you can't box me in. I mean, that's kind of like one thing that I've always said is like,
for sure.
I want to put out music that's not going to box me in.
But do you, and that's totally fair. That's more than fair.
I got
That's
to the
more than
point where
fair.
I'm at now.
That's more than fair. That should be I think that's the motto. I guess what I'm asking though is, are you sort of recognizing that there is value though in sort of, so you're talking about one night. It's like,
Sure.
do you think there's value in sort of like creating along a vein of like a certain brand? I don't want to say the word brand,
so like
but
I think about just like the same way that like no, you have to. I mean, yeah, like in terms of what people have to be marketed to. I love all my fans. And there's a lot of people out there who just love me for who I am. Like literally, they just have gotten to know me through a variety of mechanisms, whether it's TikTok, whether it's music, whatever it is, YouTube. They just like me, and they know me, and they at least know me to some degree, right, in terms of who I am on a camera.
Totally.
But there's also a percentage of people who are very iffy about anything that they're going to bring into their spectrum or their sphere or their world. And so I want to make it easy on them. When they discover Daddy Nat and they discover One Night, my most popular song, I want them to be, if they dig that, I want them to be able to go listen to 4 or 5 other tracks that give you the same vibe as that. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
And if they want to dig deep and they want to find out about some of the other stuff I've done and some of the other crazier things I've done and, allow that to play to the benefit, then great. But I want them to be able to live in that world for a while. And that is what a major record label does. A major record label will go and look at you and they'll say, okay, people don't really like change. So it's like if they decide they like something, they want to be spoon-fed the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, and I just think that's how people are, And so I think about how would a major record label treated me. A lot of the music that I've released probably over the last couple years, they probably would have been like, no, you are not releasing that. Several of the songs I think they would have, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah, okay.
And I don't mean this because I'm trying to emulate a major record label. I'm just saying this is because you need to think that way if you want to take your career as seriously as
you kind of are thinking of it
that way.
You're kind of taking your own sort of career in your own
hands, yeah.
In your own hands, and so you're trying to kind of reverse engineer like what a record label would, how someone from an A&R department at Capitol Music in LA would maybe consult with you, and you're trying to apply that to your own career, which I think is brilliant.
Right. So, So yeah, man,
it's awesome.
I know we just went on a huge tangent about my music, but
I'm gonna get a beer.
Yeah, dude, grab a beer
real quick.
Yeah,
Sorry.
do it.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, I feel like we've talked a lot already on this pod. I feel like usually there's some other questions that I like to bring up. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions that I think are pretty fun.
Go for it.
First one being, what is the first album or record that you remember purchasing or being purchased for you back in the day?
It was Coldplay Parachutes.
Let's go.
And it was all yellow.
How old do you think you were?
I fucking maybe 10.
Okay,
nice. 10 years old.
And you were like just absorbed it all?
Well, yeah, because at that time I was really into burn CDs. So my older sister, who was like, had all the cool music or whatever.
Sure.
She'd pass all that down to us. I've got a twin sister, so we would get all that music. Shout out Maddie. We would get all that music from her. But the first CD that I ever bought on my own though was Coldplay Parachutes.
No way.
Because I think it was like I liked.
Honestly, amazing, bro.
Do you want to know a story?
Sure.
So I had a little mandolin that I played, which is like a violin, but you play it like with frets.
Right.
The same tuning. So it was like a 1-for-1 conversion.
Yeah, I think I got something to say.
So I wrote this little ditty on my mandolin one day, and my older sister told me that sounds a lot like this Coldplay song called "The Scientist." It was Anyway, so I was like, oh, cool. I wrote a song that sounds like this other band. So she introduced me to Coldplay, and I was like, super into the vibe. I was like 9 years old, I think. So anyway, that was the first CD I bought. Was
so dope.
Parachutes by Coldplay.
Yeah, bro. Huge influence, I would imagine, probably to.
Totally,
you.
yeah. Parachutes and early on, A Rush of Blood to the Head. That record was a huge influence for me. I mean, those are all the vibes. Those are all the vibes.
It was like modern pop.
It was like modern. It was modern,
yeah.
like British emo rock.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Or pop emo rock.
Soft pop rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's great.
that was it. I mean, those are my early teen days. Yeah.
Bro, I mean, amazing songs. Some of the best. I mean, Chris Martin's one of the best songwriters of all time. I feel like he really crushed it out the gate.
He's all right.
Yeah, he really crushed it out the gate.
Out the gate, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they signed really early.
Else now. But shout out Chris Martin if you want to come on the pod. But dude, okay, so that was your first album.
Yeah.
What are you listening to today? What is maybe your, or maybe even start here. What's your most influential album of your life? Would you say? What did you say was
Jesus
Parachutes?
Christ,
Would you say there's one that you've listened to? I mean, I've listened to Asia probably. I mean, it's debatable, but
Steely Dan,
as
yeah.
much of as probably any album in my life.
That's pretty hard to say most influential album because there's so many phases.
Is there like an album you draw from the most at all?
Oh God, I don't know.
The Beatles?
The Beatles are. I mean, the Beatles were there, but no, probably not the Beatles. That's really hard to say, man. Maybe
Okay.
I mean maybe like.
We can skip it. I mean, we don't have to.
I mean,
we can skip it.
I would say like some OG. I would say a handful. There was Grace by Jeff Buckley.
Yep. Oh, that's right.
So that's
probably the biggest.
That's one of like the ones that anchor, right? And then there's Radiohead, OK Computer probably for me personally.
Sure.
And then I mean, A Rush of Blood to the Head was like the first exposure that I ever had to like piano songs. So you have to count that in there.
Sure.
So probably those three.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even begin to name that, but yeah.
Sure. I mean, those three, that was pretty good. You summed it up pretty nicely.
All right.
What are you listening to right now? Like, can you name a song or an album that you've just, I mean, this week, last week, this month?
Absolutely. So there's a great band called Fontaines DC.
Okay.
That's from Ireland.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there was something in that beer.
Well, it's okay.
And
Nice.
so they're like an Irish rock band, and they just came out with this new record, and love it. So that's kind of rocking my summer right now.
Okay, dope.
They have a song called Roman Holiday, a song called I Love You. It's like sort of like this new phase that the UK is having of like rock bands.
Okay, dope.
There's like Idols.
Yep.
There's Fontaines DC. I'm not trying to like categorize them all together, but
Sure.
there's a really cool like current wave of rock music coming out of the UK.
Wow.
And Fontaines is the album of my
You gotta
summer
send it to me. I
for
haven't
sure.
listened to it, but
They're like young Irish kids that I think like went to school for like literature. They're like poets. They're like poetry guys,
wow.
and they're just the biggest ballers on the planet.
Really?
And I love these guys. So
They seem to take it a whole lot more seriously. There's like a lot of sophistication in British rock.
no, I mean
Not always, but
that's what I love about the record is it's so like understated and like a little bit more on the raw side. But
Oh, interesting. Okay.
it's like melodic, but the grooves are real well mixed. Like I think I'm also like fanboying out on like the production of the album, like the
Sure.
actual technicals of the recording.
Right.
I love the way the drums were mixed on that. So anyway, there's a lot of points on that record that I'm obsessing about right now.
Dang, bro.
So that would be the flavor of the day.
And you're also a huge gearhead. I mean, if we're gonna be honest with you, talking about that. So would you say that there's like
Yeah.
one studio tool that you use that you
Ooh.
would have to have in any studio
Like a
environment?
desert island tool.
Yeah, desert island tool. Exactly.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd have to be like my
It could be a microphone.
that I own or that I don't own.
Either.
So yeah,
I would say probably if you could make it one that you own,
That I
would
own,
make more sense.
that makes more sense. Yeah, that I own right now is this microphone preamp called it's the Heritage 73. It's basically an emulation of these old vintage mic preamps, Neve 1073s.
Oh, sick! Yeah,
Pretty legendary.
of course.
Real fat, like transformer based circuits, and the EQ circuits in those are legendary. So many thousands and thousands of great records have been recorded on those Neve desks, And so I've got it's called the company's Heritage, and they just basically emulated that circuit board.
Damn.
It's a little cheaper because it's not called Neve.
Sure.
But it's still great. And
Yeah, I mean,
so that would be it for me.
It's probably an identical model, basically.
It's basically, it's almost identical. I think they've cheaped out on a couple things, but
Sure.
it's great. That would be my desert island piece of gear right now is that Heritage 73 Elite Series 2-channel Mike Pre and EQ.
See it right here. Here.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Turning the knobs. The low end on that Mike Pre is great.
Well, dude, those are usually the questions I like to ask. So
Sick.
I do want to give you a chance to plug. I appreciate you being on here as well, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Harrowes. We haven't said much about it today, but Harrowes is a dope ass
talk
band
about it.
in Austin, Texas. Sam Harrowes. Was there some significance there with the name? Is there is it
Possibly.
actually an Irish? Is there anything there?
So when Max, our old roommate, he helped start the band Harrowes, and I didn't know what I wanted to call it, but so the original English form of my name, which is Harold, is Harrowes. So that's where our name goes back to, is the word.
Super dope.
It's like this old English name Harrowes, and I've always had that in mind, and so I was like, you know what, I'll just call it Harrowes.
It's also true to you, yeah, exactly.
It's like my music. I mean, it sounds very whatever the word is, aggrandizing, but I think that's the word. So yeah, anyway, that's a cool history on that. Yeah, so yeah, what was
I was just curious. Talk about Harrowes, man. We haven't really said much about it, but I'm curious.
Yeah, man. Harrowes is a project, is a musical basically Harrowes for me is like whatever I do musically.
Sure.
That I want to release.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So there's really no great strategy with it. I would say currently what I'm excited to talk about and what I'm working on right now is me and my good friend Butch, who plays drums. He's an amazing drummer. We have 8, so we actually have 9, but we're going to release 8 songs.
Amazing.
Probably going to be an album or some form of multiple releases and then an album.
Sure.
More likely, something like that. And we've currently just recorded all of that. We're doing it all ourselves.
Wow.
I'm gonna mix it and produce it, all in house. The last several releases that Harrowes has done has been at studios around town.
Sure.
So because we kind of wanted to work with other people and get that vibe, see what that was like. And the results were, it's a learning curve as always, and so
Sure.
we're taking that and learning with it. But this project, I think we're gonna do it ourselves. So
that's awesome.
We've got 8 songs that are in the cooker, and I think it's sounding great. I can't wait to put it out.
Any release date for it, or you thinking this year or next year?
Definitely this year.
Dope.
I'm hoping to have the mixes finished by August, September. We'll probably release I don't know. We'll probably release November. I want to do a video. It's too early to say. I don't really know when we'll release it.
Sure.
It could be winter next year.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Early next year.
Early next year, probably, because it's still a little raw.
You never know with music, man.
I don't want to make that point though. Yeah. Butch and I have had a lot of conversations about this because we have a lot more songs that we want to do. We've discovered this really nice rhythm.
So you've got to get these out.
And so we've both verbally been let's put it out and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
So many people, and I don't want to name names, but so many people just sit and work and tweak forever.
And never release anything.
Never release anything. So we've really made a commitment to not do that. But at the same time, I also want to give it the time of day to make it great.
Yeah,
but then move on.
Give it your all. Give it
the all.
Give it your everything you got.
Give it the all, and then leave it on the court.
But give yourself deadlines too, because otherwise you won't give it everything you got.
Sure. Well, there's also a money element to it. I'm gonna be renting some gear.
Right.
And so that also helps give I've got a 1-month budget for this.
Exactly.
So I'm a huge proponent of that, of limitations and timelines.
You need them.
Because that's what allows you to thrive and put stuff out. But anyway, that's what we're working on. It's a lot of firsts for us. I'm definitely in a new phase with it all.
Yeah.
But we're buzzing in a creative mode right now.
You got any shows coming up or anything like that?
We don't have any shows right now. We just played a couple shows in May. I think you were at those.
Right.
We've got a nice group of friends that are playing with us right now, and we're ready to go for any shows. If anybody wants to book a book
Harrowes,
bar mitzvah.
What's your Instagram and socials and stuff like that?
You can do at Harrowes, HARROWES. Yeah.
Harrowes right here.
Check it out.
Well, dude,
Cheers.
this has been fun, man. Anything else, man? What's
Yeah,
been
bro.
going on, dude? Anything else that you gotta, add to the whiskey barrel?
No, I think that's all. That's everything.
You got it all.
I think we talked about everything.
We really did, didn't we? We got to do another one at some point, though.
This is sick, man. I like your office. Ross has got this new office, if you can call it that, more of a creative space.
Kind of a ghetto office,
in all the best ways. But this is a dope space. I hope your podcast gets 1 million listens.
Yeah, 1 million listens. We'll split the profits. We'll get like a Manscaped to do all.
Can we get that in writing? We get that verbal agreement.
Yeah. Well, we won't keep this in part of the video, but yeah.
Well, cheers. Thanks for having me, and thanks for providing the.
Dude, Sam, one of my best friends.
Buddies.
To be real, dude. I appreciate you, man.
Cheers.
Yeah. Let's go have a couple more beers, eh? Peace out, gang.
At least.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Later, y'all.
Been staying up all night, staying up all night, staying up all night. Ah, na, 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 na. Ah. Cold 45 and 2 zigzags, baby, that's all we need. When I drag myself to the after party, I get drunk as hell and I leave.